Hi guys, my name is Tammy and this is The Rusted Willow, and today I have a compilation video for you of all the Valentines and spring inspired DIYs that I have done the last year.
Let's get into DIY number one. So the goal here is to find something that inspired you to make your craft and to make it for less. So I found a coffee filter wreath online that I thought was pretty, but I thought I could make it prettier and I wanted it for Valentine's Day. I got some coffee filters and I dyed them with food coloring. The longer I left them in, the darker they got. And then I just laid them out and let them dry. I actually put them in the microwave for 30 seconds and they dried just fine. The white ones and the brown ones, I did not get wet. Sometimes people get them wet and let them dry flat, but I didn't do that. I just took them straight out the pack and folded them and glued them on the wreath form. Now I couldn't decide if I wanted the smaller wreath form or the bigger wreath form. I ended up using the bigger wreath form from Walmart, and I believe it was $2 or $3. The smaller wreath form from Dollar Tree, I just didn't think was big enough. I wanted it to be big and full. The first thing I'm going to do is put on the hanger. I wanted the hanger hidden underneath. I didn't want it to be on top of the filter, the coffee filters. I wanted it to be hidden. So I put that on first with some white satin ribbon, and I just tied it in a knot, and then I tied it in place. And that was all there was to it. You could even glue it. I think I might have glued it a little bit, but I don't. Yeah, I did. I glued it just a little bit. It's not really necessary. It would have stayed in place either way, but I wanted to glue the knots down. So that's how I made the hanger, super simple. And then I took some coffee filters and I crunched them up because that makes them come apart a little bit easier. And all I'm going to do is cover the back of this wreath form because I want it to have a very finished look. And I didn't want any of the green showing through, which I could have painted that, but I just used coffee filters. It's fine. Then I took my pink coffee filters and I folded them in quarters. So I folded them in half and then I folded them again. And then I just put a little bit of hot glue, tiny bit of hot glue down in the corner. Now I did this on some of them, but I didn't do them on I didn't do that on all of them. I don't think it's necessary. And I thought this would be an easier way to do the wreath, but honestly, I think it would have been easier to just put dots of hot glue, stick the coffee filter on the end of a pencil, and stick it to the wreath. I think that would have been a whole lot simpler, and then I wouldn't had to have went back and fluffed it after I glued on all the coffee filters. And here I'm showing you, I glued a section of coffee filters down, and then I just pulled them apart and started fluffing. And I just pulled them apart and they fluffed out perfectly. This is my first time for making a coffee filter wreath, and I think it turned out pretty fantastic. I liked the variation of the color, the pink, the white, and the brown, and that's what it looks like before you fluff everything. They just kind of lay out, and I glued mine together pretty closely, so it's gonna be really stinking full and it looks amazing. And that's what it looks like on the back side, so you can see how full it is. I went back in a couple places where I thought needed an extra coffee filter or two, and I just added a few just to finish it off and add some color, because I didn't want it to be solid pink or solid brown. I just wanted the brown coffee filters, the natural color, which I could have tea stained them or coffee stained them to get the same look, but I just bought them. So I maybe have $5 in this coffee filter wreath, if that. And here I am, I'm just going back through, pulling them apart and fluffing them. And I took a sign from the Dollar Tree, the metal sign off of one of their, I think it was on a heart, I'm not sure. And I took some lights from the Dollar Tree, so I'm probably up to $6 now with the wreath, the 2 different colors of coffee filters, and the lights and the metal sign. Probably up to $6, yes. It's just very, very time consuming. So I suggest get a drink, put on a movie, and either get your glue gun out and stick them on with a pencil, eraser top or pencil top or whatever, so that it has a flat end, or you can fold them in quarters like I did and glue them on. Folding takes a long time. I sat and watched a couple episodes of a show on Netflix and folded coffee filters. But now that after I did that, I thought, you know, why am I folding these coffee filters when I could have just stuck them on and been done with it? So, and then I wouldn't have had to went back and fluff. It's whatever you want to do. And I put these lights on my coffee filter wreath, and one light, of course, worked when I put them on. They all worked, and then I turned it over and it didn't work anymore. So I don't know if it's got a short in it or what, but we fix it. No big deal. So I decide the placement of where I want to put my love sign. I glued the battery pack on the back, with making sure that if I need to change the batteries, I still have access to the little screw to change the batteries. Those are pink heart lights, by the way. They're just super bright. And that's how it looks on my door. On to DIY number 2. So this is just something I saw on Pinterest, something simple. I love this sign because it says love you more, and I used to tell my kids that when they were babies. They would say I love you, and I would say I love you, and they would say back to me I love you more, or vice versa. So I just wanted to dress it up a little bit. I really like the sign. I just thought it was a little too plain. It was more country than chic. So I took a Dollar Tree sign, and I took off the red and white XOXO and the red and white polka dot hearts. I took off the yellowed buttons and put on white buttons. Just some simple updates. Makes a world of difference. And instead of the raffia bows, I changed those to jute bows. And I think it dressed it up so much better. So this was a super simple makeover. It took about 5 minutes, and it looks amazing. I hope you like it. So let me know down below in the comments which project was your favorite. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment and let me know where you're stopping by from if it's your first time. And if you're returning, don't forget to say hi. On to DIY number 3. Okay, so I found this planter box with succulents in it for $289. Who in their right mind is gonna pay that for fake succulents? I believe that was from Wayfair. Anyway, I have this planter box that my brother-in-law made out of barnwood that we foraged. We went and, well, we didn't. My husband and my brother-in-law and my sister and I went to tear down this barn. My sister and I mostly watched, for real. But we picked up a few pieces and loaded the trailer. Not really. The guys did all the work. Let's just be real. And I decided he made this planter box, and so I decided I'm going to fill it with these river rocks from Dollar Tree. It took about 4 bags, and I guess I could have put some paper bags or some foam in there to not use up so many rocks, but I had them on hand, so I just thought I'm just gonna put the rocks in there. And all of these succulents are from Dollar Tree that I've already had on hand, and I just started filling it up. So the box was free. I have $4 in the rocks, and then however many succulents I use, maybe 8 or 9. Okay, maybe 12 or 13. So they are $1 a piece. So you could use less or you could use more, whichever you prefer. I just feel like the inspiration that I saw online had their box pretty full, and so I wanted mine to mimic that. But you could use less or you could use more. It's whatever your little heart desires. This is for spring, so I'm gonna leave it on my table for spring, and I think it turned out super cute. On to DIY number 4. So this inspiration came from, I believe, Home Goods is where I saw that Rae Dunn pillow. If you didn't recognize it, I believe it was $24.99, and I'm gonna make it for free because I already had drop cloth on hand. This is how I'm making my slipcover pillow. I basically just measured out the size of my pillow. If it was 24 by 24, I did 24 by 24. And I did a 1/2 inch seam allowance on either side, and I had plenty of material left over for the pillow to fit in perfectly. So I just did a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And to make these pillows, it is super simple. You just measure your pillow out, whatever size it is. That's how wide you want to make your fabric, but then you want to add about 10 inches to one side or the other. The side you're going to fold, which I can do a better tutorial on how to make these slipcover pillows. If you'd like to see that, please put that in the comments down below, because I can definitely do that. And I did not cut the finished edge off of the drop cloth because I just used it as a seam allowance. No big deal. However, I did go back and backstitch over where the 2 pieces of material cross over, if that makes sense, because they overlap to make the actual slip cover pillow cover. Slip cover, pillow cover. So here you see me putting it on. It's like a pocket pillow cover. I don't know what they call it, but anyway, it's super easy to make. And I'm not a seamstress, guys. I haven't sewn since high school, so over 30 years. And I just started sewing again when the pandemic hit and we had to make masks for everyone. So if you haven't subscribed, if you would please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, hit that like button and ring that little bell for notifications. I wanted to make this pillow like the Rae Dunn inspiration because I love Rae Dunn. I just used a heart form that you can get at the Dollar Tree and traced around it on my drop cloth fabric. Cut that out. Super simple, guys. Anybody can do this. And if you don't have a sewing machine, you can make this with hot glue. It will hold together. They have fabric hot glue now. So you can easily make yourself a pillow cover with hot glue. I got my drop cloth from Harbor Freight. They're super cheap there. I mean, I think they range from $10 to as big as you want to get. And I think the most expensive one is $25 or $30. I'm not sure, but anyway, they do have small ones for 10 or less even, I think. So what I'm gonna do to get that black and white stitching around the edge is I have black yarn from Dollar Tree. So basically my fabric I already had on hand, but if you're gonna go get it, let's just call it 10 bucks for a big old piece of drop cloth. Your yarn is $1, so we're in it for maybe $11 for this pillow. And I'm just stitching up and down, up and down. It's just a regular straight stitch. And I have this big old needle. I have no idea where it came from, but you can get you a big sewing needle, no problem. Anyway, I sewed all the way around, just a straight stitch, about a ½ inch in, and it was starting to unravel pretty good, so you'll see that around the edges. And I just make sure that I didn't pull it too tight because I want that heart to lay flat. So I make sure that I get the yarn pretty loosely through there, and then I cut it off. I'm gonna tie a knot, and that little bottle is that little white bottle is no fray. So I put that around the edges because it's starting to fray pretty good. And I know that the Rae Dunn, all of their blankets and stitching, anything that's fabric does unravel. They want it to unravel because I think they use a canvas cloth too, or it's some kind of canvas. Anyway, I want it to unravel a little bit, but I didn't want it to come undone and then mess my stitching. And I was gonna hot glue this onto my pillow anyway, so I just went ahead and used that no fray so that it wouldn't fray any more than it already did. I made this stencil with my Cricut, and I paid for the Rae Dunn font on Etsy. So I just made the stencil, I stuck it on, I went over it with, I actually used my paint pen and Sharpie, and then it kind of made little fuzzies, so I'm picking those off there. And then I'm just going back and cleaning up the edges with my Sharpie, and that's how the love sign looks. So now I'm just gonna put it on the front of my drop cloth pillowcase. And I'm just gonna hot glue it. I just kind of get it centered, lay it out flat, make sure that it's gonna lay there right, and hot glue it. And I just hot glue it all around. I don't hot glue it over the stitching, I do it right behind the stitching so that it sticks off the pillow a little bit like the inspiration piece. I think my heart is a different shape than the Rae Dunn pillow, but I still love it. It's pretty darn close. I love, love, love it. And there it is on my couch. Don't it look awesome? Yes! It don't get any better than that, guys. I would love it if you would connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or subscribe to my channel. And I want to thank you all for stopping by. I have 7 DIYs for you, so let's get into DIY number 1. I used my Cricut and I created the words P.S. I love you. I am going to put those words on one of the ceramic balls that I got from Dollar Tree. If you were lucky enough to find these and pick these up, I only got the white ones. I think my sister got some black ones, but they were super cool last year, and I made these back in the summer, I believe. But basically, I just weeded out the letters like you do for any Cricut design, and I made 2 of these, one for me, one for my sister, which I'm sure you've seen them in her home tours. If you haven't, I will link that video up above. But I'm just weeding out the words here, and you could really put anything on those balls. I actually made some that says established and the year that I was married and the year my sister was married. So we have 2 that have sayings on them. One says P.S. I love you, and one says established and the year that we were married. And I just love them. So here I am cleaning the ball with alcohol, making sure that it's nice and clean because you want the vinyl to stick. And I reuse my transfer tape a million times. Although I will tell you that I did buy the dollar store, what is that called? Shelf liner, the clear shelf liner. And I like it very much. I was surprised. I didn't think I would, but it's actually really great for using it as transfer tape. So now I don't have to reuse my transfer tape 1,000 times. I can actually throw it away because it's only $1. So here I go. I'm trying to stick it on the ball again. First time was kind of a mess up, but you can just peel it off and stick it right back on there. I'm burnishing it down with the back end of the weeding tool. And here I slowed it down to kind of show you. So there's the finished product. I love how it looks. And now right on into DIY number 2. So this sign we got after Easter at Hobby Lobby, the wood sign, and it was 90% off, so it was a little to nothing. My sister had 2 of them and she wanted a sign for her coffee bar. So I made this for her, and then she gave me a sign and I made one for myself, and I just love it. Of course, she's a huge Def Leppard fan, so it makes sense. The saying is pour some sugar on me, and I created this with my Cricut. If you didn't have a Cricut, you could actually make this on the computer and print it out on computer paper and use graphite, or even color it over with pencil or chalk and just outline it in Sharpie, or you could use a paint pen. There's many ways to create these signs without a Cricut, and there's lots of tutorials out there on how to do that in YouTube videos. I have a Cricut and I love using it, and this was super simple. It did have a bunny design on there, and I sanded that right off. It came off super easy, and I just put the vinyl on. I'm not even sure you could count that as a DIY, but I do. On to DIY number 3. This is also going to be super simple. I picked these up at the Dollar Tree, and I wanted a table runner for Valentine's Day. I've seen this on Pinterest. Lots of YouTubers have made these, and I wanted to make one for my table. You can just lay them out, or you can glue them together. I decided that I wanted mine glued together, but I go through the process of laying them out different ways to see how I want them laid out. And I love that they have glitter on both sides, so it really doesn't matter how you glue them together. You're going to get the same effect whether you have them on one side or the other. The designs weren't completely cut out all the way, so I had to take out the middle part of the felt. But you see me here, I'm just rearranging these in different ways, and I like the way it looks, but I'm just going to go with straight, and we're just going to glue it down with a little bit of glue. And it only took 4 for my table. I did buy 6, I believe, so I will be using those in other places. And after I get them glued together, I just flip it over, and I'm going to set my table. Now this mirror is concrete around the edge. I went thrifting at my sister's house. She's always redoing, buying new, redoing, and buying new. And anyway, I picked up this mirror at her house. I bought the scatter from Dollar Tree, which I love. The pink is so pretty. And I put some remote control lights on there, and that's all. On to DIY number 4. So this is a vase planter glass container. I picked it up at a thrift store for $1. I decorated it for Christmas, and now I'm just going to redo it for Valentine's Day. It has the sheet moss around it and then a square of floral foam. And I kind of craft by the seat of my pants. I don't usually have a plan. I just know I have an idea in my head or a vision that I want to recreate. And so when I do flower arrangements, I just lay out a bunch of flowers and I just go with the flow. If I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I will take it all out and redo it all and start over. But I knew I wanted to use these beautiful flowers that I got from Joann's, but I wanted to mix and match with some Dollar Tree, and that really didn't happen. So I did get this rose bush from Joann's when it was on clearance, I believe 70 or 80% off at the end of summer. And I also got a sheet of flowers. I don't know if you've ever seen those before, but it was on like a grid, a square grid, and it had peonies and hydrangeas and roses and some baby's breath looking stuff and just different flowers on this square grid, and I love it. It is so pretty. They're like blush colored roses, kind of pinky blush color, and they don't have stems. I just used my skewer sticks and hot glued it to the back of them so that I could poke them down into the floral foam. And then I lost some of my footage, so I'll just show you pictures, but I just used some eucalyptus and the other greenery that was on the grid and just poked it around in there to add some greenery. And this is what it looked like after I got all the flowers arranged. If you have not yet subscribed, you might consider subscribing to my channel. If you see one of these DIYs that you like, give this video a big thumbs up. I would appreciate it very much. Let's get into DIY number 5. So for this DIY, I went out to the garage and grabbed some spare scrap wood. We recently replaced our stair treads, and that's what these boards are from. They're nice and thick. They stand up on their own. I loved them. I don't know where the footage went of me staining them, but I stained them in the weathered gray stain, and I am just distressing them now with the silver lining gray paint. The stain that I used barely used any stain at all. I wanted the wood grain to show through, so I was very, very light-handed on the stain, and just as light-handed on the distressing. I wanted them to be very farmhouse, very simple. And I also needed some chocolate to get me through the day. So here I am sizing them up for the size of picture that I want. I cut out a scrap piece of 4x6 so that I knew that it would fit on the board. And I don't know where the footage went of me putting the vinyl on, but basically I designed the love and the family, and I just applied the vinyl to the signs. So now I'm going to embellish them with some twine. And this twine, I believe, is from Walmart. I think I do have my Dollar Tree twine there, but it's not thick enough. I wanted a thicker twine, so I went with the Walmart twine. And I just wrapped it around several times. I didn't count. I just wrapped several times. This board was kind of bowed, and that's okay because the picture still stayed in the twine. I just had to make sure that I got it tight enough. So basically, I started off with a knot. I glued the knot to the back of the board. I wrapped it around several times. I made another knot, and I glued that knot as well so it would not come apart. And there you go. And your picture will set in there, and you have a shelf setter, or you can put it on your desk at work or whatever. So pretty. I love these. I haven't even made them for myself. These were a gift. I have to get busy and make some for myself. I've been wanting these forever, and now other people have them and I don't still. Isn't that the way it goes with crafting? You make everything for everybody else and then you make your stuff last. I don't know. I guess that's with remodeling your house too, maybe. But so I went ahead and made a jute bow. I just wrapped it around my fingers several times. Don't forget to stay tuned to the end. I have a free printable for you, and I have another one that is available on Etsy. So hopefully you will like what I have for you. decided where I wanted to place it, and I placed it on the bottom left hand corner. I just thought that looked so sweet, and that way it didn't get in the way of the picture. I thought I was going to add some eucalyptus leaves or some boxwood leaves. I think they're eucalyptus from Walmart, but I didn't really care for that. So we're just gonna stick with the simple farmhouse. Beautiful. It turned out perfect. I love the way these signs turned out. So now I'm gonna work on the family sign. And again, I just tie a knot to the back. It's very simple. And you can use any scrap wood as long as, sorry, I got sidetracked. You can just use any scrap wood as long as it's thick enough to stand up on its own and big enough to where it fits the size of picture that you want. I could have made this family sign go vertical instead of horizontal, and then it would have held a bigger picture. But since it was a gift for someone, I wasn't sure where they were going to use it. So I didn't want to make the sign too big or in a position that they couldn't use it or wouldn't use it. So on this one though, I did wrap the top and the bottom. I didn't want them the same. I wanted them a little different. And this one would be able to hold a 5x7 size if it was a horizontal print. So that's why I love these little board picture frames. I don't know what you call them, but they're very versatile, and you can use it with multiple pictures, one picture. Oh, and here is the look after they are completed. I also made some Dollar Tree candles to go with the frames. So they got some candles with twine and bows, and they also got the frames. DIY number 6. So some of you saw me make the gift tags or name tags or ornaments for Christmas out of Scrabble letters. Well, I thrift a lot, and my sister and I both thrift a lot, and I pick up Scrabble letters whenever I see them. So these were some very old Scrabble letters. They're very thick, and I just loved them. And so I thought I would go ahead and make a love little setter sign, I don't know, for my tiered tray. So this is what I'm doing. I'm making this little love sign. It's super simple. I had already painted the scrap wood in white, Waverly white chalk paint, and basically I just glued on the Scrabble letters, and I embellished it with a little bit of greenery, some twine, and a little tiny rosette from a Dollar Tree bush. I believe I added a tiny little twine bow there too. It's kind of hard to see, but you'll see it in the final look. There's a little rosette. Super cute. DIY number 7. So this is my tiered tray. I also got this from my sister. She went thrifting, found these Pottery Barn cake stands, and I put them together and made a 3-tiered tray. So here is my final look. There's my love sign. Pretty much everything on here I made. Here's the Pour Some Sugar on Me sign, made from an Easter sign that I got for 90% off. There's one of my Dollar Tree candles, and I just added a sticker, a Dollar Tree sticker, the arrow sticker. The P.S. I Love You ball from Dollar Tree. There's my established in 2010. The little ball garland I actually got from Dollar General. I think it was $1. And that wooden heart I thrifted and painted it ballet slipper pink with some gold X and O's. love, love, love how this turned out. It looks gorgeous on my desk at work. I already took it to work and have gotten lots of compliments on it. I want to thank you so much for stopping by. If you have not already, please subscribe. Click that little bell to get notified of any new videos that I might post. But thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day. All right, guys, as a huge thank you for your patience during my illness, here is a free printable for Valentine's Day. It does print out in 16 by 20, and it is gorgeous. And if you don't like that one, then maybe you'll like the one that I'm offering over on my Etsy, which is available down in my link tree. All those links are down below in my description box. All right, guys, have a blessed day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.